In this video, I'm going to show you how to create and manage invoices. There are a few different ways to create invoices. Firstly, from the front dashboard, you can just click the Create Invoice tab in the top right hand side of the screen. The other way to create an invoice is to go through to the Invoices module on the left hand side, and if you click into the Invoice module, just hit the Create an Invoice option or the Create button at the top of the screen. Last way is if you go into the customer screen and you click into a customer record, you will have the option to create an invoice from the top of the page. Before you create an invoice for a customer, just make sure that in the options menu your payment terms are set correctly. Once you've done that, all you need to do is just click Create Invoice, and this will take you through to the Invoices module to create your first invoice. By default, the system will go to number 1 because this is our first ever invoice. However, you can type over this. So if I put 150 in here, then my next invoice will be number 151. We can then, it's brought through the customer details for us, so that's brought through, or I can just click on the drop down list in here and choose the customer who I'm going to generate an invoice for. If it's a new customer, you can click on the plus symbol and then just quickly type a customer name in there and then hit create, and that will create a new customer record for you. You can then type in a reference in here and it's brought through their address, and that's come through from their customer record, or you can specify a different delivery address if you wish to. It's brought through their payment terms and conditions have come through in here, so the due date is in here and our issue date. These dates can be changed just by clicking into them and choosing the relevant date within here. Our default currency is currently set to British pounds. All we then need to do is just add lines to the invoice of the work that we've carried out. So I can click add line item, and on here we can see that my labour code has come through because that's the default code that we set on the customer record itself. If I add another line, it will add another labour line in here, but if I just click in the drop down list in here, I can now choose from sales, so I could just have a generic sales line in here, and I can also go and choose materials from here as well. Now, you do have, if you've created different products within your business, you can select different product codes from here if you have them set up. And then all you need to do is put the quantity in, so a quantity field, and then a description of the work carried out. So I'm just going to type in labour in here. I can put materials in here. And you can free type whatever work that you've done. So you can just free type whatever you want into here, and you can put as many characters as you wish to. You also have the option at the bottom just to add in a comment, and if you add a comment line, you can just free type whatever you want in there, and it could be a message or any additional information that you want to appear on the invoice. You can choose how the invoice is laid out, so you can move these lines around depending on how you want them to be shown on the invoice, and you can either type in the amount. So if I type in the net rate, it will calculate the VAT for me. So if I put £150, it will calculate the VAT at £30, and our gross total is £180. Alternatively, I could type in the gross amount, so I can say it's £400, and the system will calculate the VAT on that. So we can see it's calculated at 20%, and the VAT and the net rate are now shown on the system there. And then I'm just going to go and put in £400 for labour, and we can see we've got our subtotal, we have our VAT total, and we have the total on the invoice itself. Once we're happy with that invoice, all we need to do is click the Save button on the top right hand side of the screen, and that invoice has now saved, and it's saved as unpaid. If we now go through to the Invoices module on the left hand side, we will see that invoice here, number 151. We can see the date, the due date, the amount, and the status is currently unpaid. If I click back into the invoice, we've got a few more options on here, so we can see at the top of the page, if you ever need to make an amendment, you have the option just to click edit, and then we could just go and make any changes we want in here, and then just press save, and that will save those changes on the invoice itself. We've also got the option to print an invoice as a packing slip, which will print this off without any of the financial information on there. If you do a lot of repeat work and you have similar looking invoices, we do have the option to copy as well. So if I just click copy, I can then choose to copy this to a new invoice, and we can see it's now created number 151 for me. So I can just go and choose a different customer, and then we can put in a new reference in here. Their payment terms have come through here as well, and as you can see, it's copied all of the information on the original invoice, and then I can just press save. And then if we go back to the invoices screen on the left hand side, we can see both of those have now been created and both are listed as unpaid. Some other options on an invoice at the top is that we can email and print directly from here, or if you just scroll down on the invoice, you do have the option to email from here or print it off. It will just print off as a PDF, and if you click on the email tab, that will then bring up their email address. So as long as you've got that stored on their customer record, it will bring it up. The subject line is brought through as well, and we can see that mine says please see attach invoice number 150, and it says the value on here. It's got my details, and then if I click on the PDF itself and open this up, this is what my invoice template looks like, and this is what my client is going to receive from me. And it's got all of the information on the invoice itself. And that's how easy it is just to send those out from the system. We also have the options to add a payment. So if you're doing manual bookkeeping and you want to record a payment against the invoice, all you need to do is click add payment. It will automatically choose the date that we're on today. We can see the value, so 1,180, the bank account that payment's going into, and also the payment method that's going to be received against this. If I click onto the amount, I can change that. So if it was a part payment or a customer deposit, I can just say, well, they've paid me £500 for now. The payment's gone into the current account and the payment method. Click on save, and we can now see that payment's recorded at the bottom. So it's £500 has gone into the bank. And if I scroll up, we can see that £680 is still due. We also have the option to do refunds. So if you click on refund, you can refund payments, create credit notes, or write off as bad debt. And if you are using card payments within the system, if a client phoned you up and wanted to make a card payment, or if you were in front of a customer and wanted to accept a card payment, you can just click on the card payment option here, just put in the credit card details for the client, and that will just go and take that payment directly off their card for them. If we go back to the invoice screen on the left hand side, we can now see that invoice is in here. If we go through to the customer module on the left hand side, we can now see that that £500 part payment is showing as the value of business that I've done for Alexandra Rogers, and we can still see I have an outstanding balance of 680, and for Tegan Kennedy we have an outstanding balance of the full invoice at 1,180. If you click into the customer record now and go through to the invoices and stats screen, we can now see that all invoices are listed. So my invoice is there, and we can see on the right hand side the total invoiced, how much is due, and again the average time to pay is all listed. And you can actually drill in to invoices directly from this screen. That's how easy it is to create new invoices within the system, and how to manage that information through the customer screen as well. We also have the option at the top of the page to create repeat invoices. So if you do repeat work with clients and you may have annual subscriptions or fees, you can set up an invoice to repeat monthly, weekly, annually, and that will just automatically create, and you can choose whether or not you want that to automatically get sent to your customer.